Japanese doll with an interesting history. For some reason, lately I've been remembering this strange experience I had when I was a child. Ever since I could remember, until I was a junior high school student, every Obon we went to visit my father's family home and would stay for 2 or 3 nights. His family home was in the countryside of Yamanashi, where they ran their own business separate from the family home. We would sleep in another room, but in that room there was a glass rectangular case with a Japanese doll in it. It had short hair and wore a red kimono, and was about 50-80 centimeters tall. As a child, it seemed really big to me. Even though it hadn't been there before this particular year, it was just suddenly there. I remember looking at it and quickly telling my parents that I thought it was creepy. Its mouth was slightly open, and it had little teeth. Had they been there since the start? I couldn't tell whether it was laughing or angry. I don't really know how to describe its expression. I think my parents were also creeped out by it, but they never said anything. The next day, as I was lazing about by myself, I felt this really strong gaze from behind me. When I turned around, the doll was there. It was creepy. So I turned the glass case around 90 degrees so it faced sideways and went back to lazing about. Not long later, I fell asleep and had a dream. In the dream, I'd become an adult. With my adult legs and standpoint, an endless, unbroken road stood before me. Either side of the road was just hills. Even though there were no street lights or anything, the road was lit up. People wearing tattered rags like farmers from the Edo period were walking along it. Against my own will, my feet got tangled up, and I fell off the road into the dark hills. I stopped in an area full of patchy grass and weeds. I couldn't move a muscle. I thought I was dead. Suddenly I heard a Buddhist prayer. Someone on the road above was saying a prayer for me. I was so happy. I didn't want to die alone. Just as I thought that my viewpoint changed to the person looking down on the dead body, it was a stranger. Their hair was thinning, mouth open, eyes upturned. They were most certainly dead. Then I woke up. I was covered in sweat. What a strange dream, I thought. When I rolled over, the doll was looking right at me. It looked like it was smiling. The glass case was still in the same spot. I didn't want to touch it, so I left it like that. The next year, the doll was in the guest house again. Its hair had grown. Its hair reached its shoulders now. Apparently, it was normal for a doll's hair to grow, but to me, it was just creepy. I remember my parents being like, "Wow, its hair is growing." I asked my aunt about it. "Just what is that doll?" Her reply was, "Ah, that. It hasn't done anything bad, has it?" I stopped asking questions right there. I just said, "No, it's fine." That night, the entire family ate watermelon and set off fireworks. While we were playing with the fireworks, another aunt, who lived by herself and only returned for Oban, idly said, "Asan is behind you, O-chan mi. How nice of him to come." My aunt and father's faces froze. "Well, it is Oban," my father said cheerfully, and everyone laughed. Afterwards, I learned that Asan was my great-grandfather. Apparently, during his time, the family was very well off, but he was a prolific philanderer who spent little time with his own family and unable to bear it anymore. My great-grandmother and her son, my grandfather, ran off in the night and broke off all ties with him. After that, my great-grandfather went on to spend his money like water and in the end died alone. The person I saw in the photo that was supposedly Asan was the dead person I'd seen in my dream. The next year, the doll was gone. I couldn't feel its strange gaze anymore, and the fear began to fade, so once more I asked my aunt about it. "Where did that doll go?" "It did something bad, so we took it to the shrine." I didn't find any of this strange. What did it do? It was in a case, right? It would get out and walk about freely at night. Well, just that would be fine, really. But in the middle of the night, it tripped up my cousin, and badly hurt his ankle. In short, when morning came, they kept finding the doll in places other than its glass case. They kept putting it back, but had no clue what was going on. Despite the fact the glass case was locked, the lock was cleanly broken off. While they were wondering about what was going on, that's when my cousin accidentally saw it. He was a high school student at the time. He woke up during the night and went to the toilet. He heard a small noise in the hallway. When he flushed the toilet and stepped outside, he suddenly felt a tug on his pants and fell forward. When he went to look at what his pants were caught on, he saw the doll's hand stretched out and holding onto the cuff of his pants. According to my cousin, he even heard the doll laugh. It wasn't a girl's voice. It was deep, but like something between male and female. Then he got so scared he passed out. My aunt woke up in the morning and found my cousin with the doll lying on his ankle and his leg in pain. That was just no good, so they took the doll to a shrine and left it there for safekeeping. They should have done so sooner, but the doll was important to my aunt, so she felt bad about doing so. I had another question. Where did she buy the doll? She said she didn't. It was a gift. Where from? Her friend. That friend had passed away. Which is to say that until that friend died, they had looked after the doll, and it was their wish that she take it as a memento. That friend made the kimono for the doll. Why? My aunt didn't know, but the doll originally wasn't her friend's either. That friend also received it from somewhere else and was asked to make the kimono for it. Who did they receive it from? Where was it sold? She didn't know anything else about it. It was quite a scary story to the child I was at the time.